All right, so I guess we can call the meeting to order, we do the pledge, and then move on to our agenda. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Just opening remarks, it's bittersweet to talk about Michael Beverino, having left HPC for planning, but it's all for the good. The village manager, I just want you to know, Karen Vittori called me and explained that, Seth Roy, was the chair and the architect on the board, moved to Croton. And they realized they should have another architect, especially someone familiar with, local zoning issues. And she asked Michael to join, and reluctantly, as he put it, I think, in an email, he joined, and it was effective a few weeks ago. So he's not with us, and obviously anybody who knows of anybody else who might want to join HBC, that would be great. We have obviously alternates, and I imagine Omar, I don't know what the procedure is, if Omar now becomes a full member, I'm not sure.
I have to think about this a little. So I think what we had done was move Isaac down to an alternate, but we haven't seen Isaac in a while, so I'm assuming he's no longer available.
Isaac's not available.
So the other alternate was Omar. And so now it's a 7-member board, and Ethan is also a member. So yeah, I think you're right. I think now you just have 7 members and no alternates.
All right, so presumably that's what happens right now tonight. It's not such an issue because we certainly have in person. And if Omar is sitting in, I guess we have to remind him that you can't vote if he's on. Although he can vote if we have more than a quorum.
Yeah, if you have a quorum person, he can vote. I just messaged him to see if he is the Zoom user, because we have one attendee and it's just labeled Zoom user.
Okay.
So if it's the applicant, that would be great.
All right.
Because otherwise we don't have an applicant.
All right, so certainly, let's not keep the applicant waiting if the person is on board right now. So HPC 052026, Forest Still Court. I was not here at the last meeting, so I'll leave it to someone familiar with the project. I was gonna suggest possibly Jason, since it's on your street, but somebody wants to take over and review this and bring up the file and discuss it. I'll leave it to them.
Sure, could I quickly just call roll? Just
Oh, yes.
for the record?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No worries. Stephen Casey?
Here.
Captain Wilson? Here. Mark Ospaul?
Here.
Jason Sia?
I think I'm here.
And Chair Garboy?
Yes, I'm here.
Zoom user. I'm gonna move you over as a panelist and hope that you will reveal your identity. Okay, Zoom user.
It's Omar.
Okay.
Hi, Omar. Thank you
Hi,
for,
everybody. How's everybody doing? It's been a minute.
We missed you.
And I think
I know I needed the time. I'm sorry, guys. I missed you too. I'm always talking.
It's okay. So we just have one item to vote on tonight. And you can vote even though you're on Zoom because we have 5 people present, more than a quorum, or a quorum at least. So I'm glad you're on board. Shall we start with the HPC review of Forest Still Court?
Sure.
Somebody wants to take over, and I'm not firsthand familiar with this since I wasn't here last meeting.
Yeah, this application is fairly straightforward and simple, but we were missing some details and just sort of looking at it last month. Unfortunately, we kicked it to this meeting requesting more information, elevations, where they're gonna put all the equipment. They had all the equipment sort of shown on the drawings, but not where it was all going and how they were gonna connect everything and how they were going to hang it, because side of this house is a little bit, it's got a lot of stuff going on, and we're just kind of like, well, if we don't have room where you need it to go, where are you gonna put it? And the answer was, we don't really know. Why wasn't there a elevation on the side just showing where the stuff was gonna get located and hung on the wall, so that it wasn't turning into a mess of equipment just hanging all over the raised foundation, so.
And it's quite visible
Yes.
from
Yeah.
the road as well.
Yeah,
right?
even from wherever
Revolutionary Road, you see that southeast elevation quite a bit.
Yep.
Yeah,
Just gonna bring up the Google Maps, so we reorient ourselves. And again, just for the record, the applicant is not here.
All right, well, if it's so simple, and I guess,
Yeah, I don't think we didn't have any problem with panels, there were a lot of
Right.
panels, so blah, it was
Yeah.
just mainly,
the apparatus on the southeast elevation was what we needed to make sure it was gonna be organized and hidden as much as possible.
So that drawing that went out, that satisfied whatever questions.
yeah, I think so. And then we'll pull it up again and just take a
Sorry,
look.
hold on, trying to navigate here.
So
So
let
let us,
everyone up the road.
yeah, but it was the yellow
Yes.
or cream color house there.
Mhm.
See it better down the road piece. Does anyone care about this or am I wasting everyone's time?
I don't know, I'm not sure what you're trying to call up.
Just trying to see if you can get to the,
If you can see that side of the house from the street.
Oh, right.
And I think the concern, yeah, there we go. The concern is that because it is so visible, that,
Oh, there it is, okay.
the board members commented they want it tucked as low as
Behind the chain,
yeah.
yeah.
so then that's the elevation that we received.
Yeah. Cause in real life, on the, to the left of the chimney, there's a whole bunch of wires that come down, I think the electric mass is over in that corner, there's a satellite radar dish, I think there's also a, radon pipe that goes up as well. There's just a whole mess of stuff that's just sort of on that elevation, and then we were kind of like, well, where are you gonna, what's going where and how's it gonna get hung?
Yeah, it looks like they put as much stuff as they could on
Towards the back, yeah.
towards the back, which is good. Cause I know the one thing does have to go next to the meter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's the existing meter, and we've got the. Okay, good. And it's kind of the way we sort of envisioned it, I guess.
Yeah. But now we know, now,
It wasn't shown, and so part of the issue was, leave it to them the day of installation, they're gonna put it wherever they want.
now it's on a contractual document. It's more likely to be put in the correct spot.
Yeah.
Sure,
Contractual document.
all right, so,
But, I have no issue,
Yeah.
yeah.
so
Yeah.
does somebody want to make a motion to vote on it, or does anybody have any other questions? So do I hear a motion to vote?
Yeah, so this is all the kit that was,
Yeah, it's there to show you.
just showing what it was, and we're kind of like, well, what's going where? Well, then it gets all the wonderful red and white stickers, and it just becomes a visual eyesore.
Well, I think
Even though the house isn't really a historic house, but it's still,
it's contributing,
Yeah.
I mean, not contributing, but
it's
it's
in
in
the
the neighborhood.
neighborhood, yeah, exactly. So if you don't
So-
want
Okay,
I saw Omar raising his hand, but then he took it away, so I don't know if he still has something to say, he's now muted. Omar, anything?
yeah, if he has a comment, we'd like to hear it. But
What-
I don't think we,
Motion
oh,
not the.
we didn't hear you, Omar, I didn't anyways, you
I think
broke
he's
up.
making a motion.
The spotty out here, but I was just going with the motion.
Oh, okay, so
Okay.
fine, you're making a motion to vote on it then.
All right, so I have
All right.
Omar agreeing with the motion, I need a second.
I'll second.
Second,
Okay.
and all in favor? I team, Omar, you can vote. How are you voting?
Thank you. I'm voting. Motion to go.
Is that an aye?
That's correct. That's a high.
Okay, so it's unanimous, wonderful.
Fantastic.
All right,
Feel
so,
bad for kicking that one.
pardon?
Well, now we know it's gonna be in the right spot, I think, yeah.
Fine.
I think one thing that came out of this was, why didn't we get the elevation to begin with? And it was kind of like, oh, well, we kind of like, let's start seeing the full plans.
Well, good, that's what we're entitled to do.
And I think that's what the board asked for going forward, that we
Yeah.
not let something off the agenda without appropriate elevations,
Yeah.
which even though it might delay somebody, it will delay them anyway if they have to
Yeah.
come and go back.
Exactly, I mean, that's I felt bad delaying it, but it was like, it
Yeah.
should have been part of the original submission and it would have been a done deal last month.
All right, so the next item is an item I'm recusing myself from, which is any pending any pending ideas on how to move possibly the fence issue forward. If you're about to discuss it, I'll just sit, over there. And then after that, if there's any new business anybody wants to bring up, other than that, we can adjourn.
I think we moved the fence issue forward and we're
Yeah, I
waiting.
think so.
We're waiting to hear back.
Yeah.
Send the new
Was
email.
everyone able to read Stuart's
Yeah.
email? This is kind of challenging. So originally, and Dan, I'm assuming you recused right now, so I'm not gonna make eye contact with you. So, an issue came up, about whether or not the HBC had jurisdiction to regulate fences in the Sparta district, very specifically. The interpretation at the time was that you did not. So we came back and we talked about it, and everybody says we think that we should, and we'd like to, and we wanna propose to the Board of Trustees that we be allowed to do that. And so that was conveyed to Corporation Counsel, and then upon closer inspection of the code, he now believes that you do in fact have the ability to regulate fences. Nothing needs to be changed in order for you to do that. The issue becomes, for applications that have already come and gone, what's to be done? And in speaking to Stuart about that, the answer appears to be nothing.
Yeah.
But that going forward, if we want to, put a note, I know, like, when we talked about it last month, it was sort of expressed that the architectural design guidelines are what everyone here is comfortable with applying going forward. So we could make a note, obviously, I'm not sure who was aware, but Stuart's retiring at the end of the year, so a different council is gonna be representing this board come next year, it seems. So just making sure that there's some continuity of, knowledge on that, so I depend on you guys to assist also as well, with onboarding that new person, whoever he or she may be, and just harkening back to this conversation, but that going forward, the architectural design guidelines as adopted by the Board of Trustees and influenced by you all will apply to fences in the Sparta Historic District.
That was what we were.
Yep.
Because we were discussing, how do we apply it, when it gets applied, and I said, if I'm not mistaken, it's already spelled out.
Mhm.
So it's a simple matter of.
I think the challenge, and this is still relatively new to me, I know Corporation Counsel has worked with this board for somewhat longer, and we defer to him on those things because he knows this code pretty well. The scope of what can and should and ought and may be considered by this board can be quite broad. I don't think it would be a bad idea for us to memorialize in an official way. This board considers certificate appropriateness for the following things. And the code, I think what Stuart points to in his email talks about, under the definition of structure. So because a fence would fall under the definition of structure, then thereby it becomes something but that's maybe not always evident, certainly not evident to me, it wasn't evident to some other people. So I just wanna make sure going forward, because I think it is in our best interest to treat everyone the same. We wanna go forward with confidence, saying that this is the rule, hard and fast going forward. So I welcome any suggestions. I had a chance to talk with Stuart briefly about this afternoon. So I'll ask him for ideas as well, but going forward, that is sort of the law of the land as far as this board is concerned, so.
So what do we need to do to sort of memorialize it or?
Well, that's what I'm thinking, right? So if Stuart's assessment is that it's already in the code language, my question, if I were you, would be, well, then how did we not know that before and we know that now? What is a way that we can make it clearer so that never happens again? And I have some ideas, but if you all come up with in the next couple of weeks, some
Because I
ideas.
don't think it's so much that we didn't know as much as it is like the mechanism that would trigger it to go in front of us.
Mhm.
That's what we need to do, is we need to trigger it so that it comes in front of us, because if it doesn't come in front of us, we may never know.
That's a fair point.
So
and I-
that's the thing that I think needs to be put in place.
Yep, and I think without speaking about any application or applicant in particular,
Yeah.
I think, the situation where this came up was a little bit layered, in terms of it being sort of an odd
Okay,
Uh,
fine, that's in the past.
yeah.
Let's worry about-
But I think going forward, and I'm happy to speak with Joe Agostinelli about this and just make sure that he's on the same page as well. Again, Joe's our building inspector, as well as code enforcement, just so everybody is clear. I'm not familiar, you all will know better than I, how many parcels are in the Sparta Historic District. I can't imagine that there's gonna be a run on fences, so it's likely you won't see this again for a while, but, again, you know, we're all human, we're doing our best, just, you know, trying to, you know, treat everybody fairly here. So going forward, like I said, I have some ideas about how and where we can memorialize this, but definitely the, you know, word of mouth and, you know, sort of the board being able to, and me backing you up, translate that to our new council and just make sure that everybody has a shared understanding, I think would go a long way.
Okay. So what would you, what, can you share any ideas that you have about what might work?
I think that, you know, and I don't want it to be too prescribed, because then I think what happens is, and again, push back on this, if, you know, because I've done a fair amount of thinking about it. What would happen if we say, okay, certificate of appropriateness is appropriate nine, multiple certificate of appropriateness, apply in the following situations, then solar panel, blah, blah, blah. Say something new comes out and no one thinks to update this running list. Now, something that very obviously is a structure and very obviously should be coming in front of you, someone's gonna point to it and say, well, that's not on your list.
Yeah.
So that is what I'm trying to avoid, because I've seen this happen now in things, in the code that we think we're being very clever, and we name all the situations in which there's an exception, then nobody looks at it for 10 years, and then there's an obvious exception that we're not able to.
Well, what I was gonna say is, like, if anything like that comes up and it's going to trigger building permit, then potentially it just gets kicked over to us in terms of a email, whatever, saying, we've got this application before us, is this something that we need to take a look at? And then we can weigh in and say, yeah, we probably should.
But
Yeah, I think that's right, but that's more a practice, I'm looking for something that somebody can.
And I think that's that issue where there's where we need a mechanism, there isn't one, because fences are exempt. And they don't need a permit, and they don't, so they didn't, so it would be some language that any visible exterior improvements in the Sparta district. So it's, we just make it broad,
Yeah,
I don't, yeah.
I had another idea, and I'm certainly not putting work on anybody else's plate, and, you know, we're very busy, so I don't know if this is something that we can commit to at this moment, but just a thought. What I was saying a couple of minutes ago about, you know, how many parcels there are in the district, the village could perhaps do a mailing. Right, we could put together, like, if you're a homeowner in this district, or some things you need to know. And, you know, maybe that would go a long way to at least notifying people that this is something that requires, you know, a higher level of approval. And if they're planning such a project, they should, you know, seek application for referral only from the building inspector to come see HPC. I think education will help. I don't think that's gonna solve the problem necessarily, but I think.
Well, how about something, I mean, I think it's a good idea to have a list as you've suggested, but I see what you're saying. We don't want someone to say, well, it wasn't on your list. Some wording at the end, these are a list of examples
Not
of what
exhaustive,
needs to, but it is not exhaustive. And the general principle is this, and if there is any doubt,
Give us a call.
give us a call.
Yeah.
You should ask before
Yeah,
something like that.
I think that works, and I'm not sure, you know, we haven't done anything that's really this specialized, but, you know, working with the building department over the past couple of years, I've sort of served as interpreter, right? Because as some of you who are architects or have experience, you know, in this line of work for a very long time, you know that the language you speak is quite unique. And if people are working on their homes and they don't have that background, it might not be intuitive to them what we, you know, oh, well, obviously you would need to do this. So what I've been sort of working on with Joe and with the board of trustees and with the manager's office is finding the things that I am finding get confused most often, and then putting together an FAQ that we put on the website. So one of the things that we did was for contractors, like, here's what will help speed up your permit, like, make sure you have this paperwork in here, the templates, follow this exactly. So perhaps a spin-off of something like that we could also, you know, obviously work with you guys to refine, and then maybe put on the HPC website, maybe as a start, and then see if we like it enough to turn it into a mailing or something that's a little bit more formal. At least if it's posted on the village webpage, it exists in a place where we can harken back to it.
Yeah.
I think it's important that we all remind each other of this going forward, but I also think that all of us could hit lotto tomorrow and then, there's no institutional knowledge to count on. So
Yeah.
that's my suggestion. Again, we can work on this now. We can give it some room to digest. I don't think obviously there's gonna be many fences coming up, but there may be something else that's a structure that, we sort of wanna get ahead of this on.
Flagpole. I don't know.
Sure,
I was thinking of something,
yeah,
because I think the mailing, I think it's a good idea, because it will at least get them people thinking, but, the other thing you said, I think it's important, is that having it listed on the website somewhere, because if something does go up that we should have reviewed, we need something to
To point
say, to point to it, say, well, you need to present it, or you may have to modify it or remove it.
I think that's right.
And there needs to be something that, it can't just be, well, it wasn't listed on the exclusions or whatever, so you wanna make sure.
Agreed.
I have to do that, that's just painful, but yeah.
And, again, I think it's a very, and again, I keep saying this like I know, but I'm waiting for someone to challenge me on it. I don't think it's a huge amount of residential parcels in that neighborhood. I think it's maybe a couple dozen. So I don't think, this would be a massive effort to try to, at the very least, get the word out, and direct folks' attention to this section of the website and our phone number if they have questions.
Yeah.
At the very least.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea, I mean, to send reminders every, however increment of years to people that live in the Sparta district. Reminder, you live in this historic, and it is regulated by things different from, village or whatever. Just as like, I don't
A
know,
reminder.
I mean, I know that you guys know, but who else?
There's a new bar.
Yeah, we have thought about that for properties everywhere.
Yeah.
Having like a welcome wagon, but as I'm sure all of you know, the market, people are putting in for boiler requests on properties, they're banging down our door the next day, I gotta go to contract. I'm like,
Yeah.
you and everybody else, we got a very long line, so, it would be lovely to be able to do that, but also, we're seeing a lot more cash sales that the assessor then doesn't get notice timely of a change of ownership. So that would have been a good mechanism because they get notification, then we can just send a mailer, but that's no longer really the case for the vast majority of sales that we're seeing in the village. So I think, like I said, if you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and you have a brilliant idea that easily surpasses all of what I've just laid out, I'm happy to take the feedback, but I think this is probably a good place to start. Get everybody on the same page.
Yeah.
Agree, disagree,
Oh, yeah. Agreed.
agree, agree.
Okay.
So, what's the next step?
The next step is if I don't hear from anybody in the next week or so, I'll start putting something together for your review at the September meeting. Does that sound like a good plan?
Yeah.
Okay,
Great.
fine.
Excellent, thank you,
You're welcome. Thank you.
yeah.
Is that the end of the fence discussion?
Kind of, sort of, was like,
Subject, subject adjourned?
Just one last thing, we try to do that every meeting, unless there's any new business for you.
I did share for those who weren't in the room yet, that earlier today, the village submitted 3 applications to the, I always forget what the act, it's SHPO, it's the Department of Parks, Recreation, State Historic Preservation, et cetera. On behalf of, I work with the village historian that I know, Ethan Alter has been working on. So you may recall 6 months back, Ethan was working with Joyce to put together a section of the website talking about specifically like Black historic communities in the village. And the board of trustees authorized us to put forth 3 grant applications totaling $90,000 with no match. One of them is about, I don't know if anyone's familiar with the format AutoCast. It's basically like a virtual tour that you can, get the app on your phone and log in. And so then when you go from place to place, it'll explain to you, I think in a language of your choice, what is historic about that place. So that's one of the grants. Another one is for a veterans program that will sort of harken towards the banner program that we've been working on in the village, and sort of expand that and the visibility of it. And a third one, which I think is really cool, and the schools wrote lovely letters of support about, is working on a book for young people to learn about, famous African Americans in New York State and specifically our community and why they've made it a special place to be. So those grants were submitted this afternoon, so fingers crossed.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. All right, unless there's anything else to bring up, we can adjourn. Thank you.
All right.
Good night, Omar.